Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the New Testament and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of Hebrews, chapter 2. Therefore, we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it. For since the message declared by angels proved to be reliable, and every transgression or disobedience received a just retribution, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? It was declared at first by the Lord, and it was attested to us by those who heard, while God also bore witness by signs and wonders and various miracles, and by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. For it was not angels that God subjected the world to come of which we are speaking. It has been testified somewhere, "What is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you care for him? You made him a little lower than the angels, and you have crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet." Now in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside his control. At present, we do not see everything in subjection to him, but we see him who was for a little while made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. For it was fitting that he, for whom and by whom all things exist, in bringing many sons to glory, should make the founder of their salvation perfect through suffering. For he who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one source. That is why he is not ashamed to call them brothers, saying, "I will tell of your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation I will sing your praise." And again, "I will put my trust in him." And again, "Behold, I and the children God has given me." Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, so that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. For surely it is not angels that he helps, but he helps the offspring of Abraham. Therefore, he has to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. One thought. There are 5 warning passages that run throughout Hebrews. And these warnings are meant to spur believers into action, to motivate them to continue believing and holding fast to Christ. In the original context of the book, the warnings were aimed particularly at Jewish Christians who had embraced Jesus as the Messiah, but were now tempted, probably due to persecution, to turn back to Judaism, back to the old ways, to avoid the consequences of their conversion to Christ. So the author of Hebrews exhorts his audience to pay much closer attention, in verse 1, to the truth, so that we do not drift from it. The author of Hebrews clearly understands human nature, because it's not just outright hostility that can drive us away from Jesus, but simple drift. I find it fascinating that he wants us to lock in, clamp down our minds on the truth. Why? So we don't drift from it. Think of an unmoored boat, right? A boat that's not tied to the pier, just slowly, imperceptibly at first, just drifting out to sea. There's this natural current that leads the boat far from where it needs to be. There can be slow, almost imperceptible neglect of our faith that leads us away from Christ. Maybe it's skipping a Sunday of church to sleep in. Hey, I've had a long week. Or it's neglecting daily prayer to just veg out with some screens. Hey, I've had a long week. These are little things that can seem innocuous, imperceptible at first, but if we allow them to linger, they'll lead us away and we'll find ourselves much further away from Christ and our faith than we ever wanted to be. But because drift is real, the author of Hebrews calls us to double down on our focus and our faith, pay much closer attention to it. And so stay anchored to Christ.